Friendship, loss, and sacrifice are just some of the themes explored in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. This beloved story was then brought to the big screen by director Peter Jackson, which then entered my little childhood heart all those years ago. The Lord of the Rings is a story that brings me hope in times of uncertainty and doubt. If a hobbit like Frodo and Sam managed to complete their burden of a task, then maybe someone like me could maybe exceed the expectations of others and myself. That just like them, maybe I could change the course of the future. Okay, this may sound a little bit dramatic, but this is genuinely how I felt watching these films as a child. And a large part of the emotions I feel are enhanced by the wonderful film score written by Howard Shore. Not only did this score open my eyes to a way of writing that I never even thought of, it made me go, wow, this guy is smart. I could learn a thing or two from him. So today we are going to watch some scenes from the Fellowship of the Ring, and I'm going to point out some of the clever choices Howard Shore made with the score. Now I need to give credit where credit is due. A lot of the information I got for this video was for this remarkable book written by Doug Adams. Obviously not sponsored, it's just a great book. So without further ado, let's jump in where it all kind of begins. The Ring of Power. This theme is called the History of the Ring. It is played whenever the Ring of Power's journey has progressed or whenever a new ring bearer takes hold. A new ring bearer could mean the ring is one step closer to returning to its master, and Howard Shore conveys that to us by playing the history of the ring. The ring has now become Frodo's burden, and now he is part of the ring's history. This melody rises and falls ever so naturally, just like our breath. It feels like the ring is alive and its journey has begun again now that it has stumbled into the hands of the most unlikely creature, the Hobbit, Frodo Baggins. The Hobbits are a race that value the simple things in life: food, drink, and friendship. And Howard Shore made the decision to give each race, the hobbits, dwarves, elves, their own culture of music. And for the hobbits, he chose the characteristics of Celtic music to represent their world. We first see Frodo reading under the shade of a tree, and Howard Shore instantly tells us the life of hobbits is a peaceful one by having the melody played by a beautiful whistle. This is the Shire Theme. Oh, I love these films so much. I love this scene. So cute. Musically, the notes represent the allure of home by having the first three pitches step up in a major key. The first three notes of the Shire theme step up the D major scale in this example, giving the allure of a simple life a warm quality to it. Here are the first three notes isolated because I want you to keep that in mind for later on. And an interesting musical relationship to point out here is the similar stepwise motion that the theme The Seduction of the Ring also has, but in a minor key. In contrast to the Shire theme, Howard Shore makes the choice to have the first three pitches step up in a minor key, representing everything the Shire isn't. The Seduction of the Ring represents the darker side of allure, stepping up the same pitches but in a minor key. It is sung by a boys' choir, as Doug Adams put it, to represent false purity, which is such a great term. The use of the Seduction theme can be seen in a moment between Boromir and the ring, so let's check it out.
Boromir, it is a strange fate that we should suffer so much fear and doubt.
And here we hear the Seduction of the Ring. And it's just so well conveyed. And it was this moment in reading the book where my mind was just blown. It just made me go, wow, there's so much more intricate relationships that can be made in a score that I never really kind of thought about, and Howard Shore has done it so well. Which makes me a little bit sad when I read a comment a little while ago that when they go to the movies, they don't go to the movies to see an epic score, but to not acknowledge the absolute impact a score has in enhancing the film experience would be a sad thing to miss out on. Think of the most successful franchises. You have Star Wars, Harry Potter, Disney, Studio Ghibli films. They all have tremendous scores to tell this visual story as well, and to not be able to acknowledge and appreciate that, I think it's a sad thing to miss out on. But let's get back to The Lord of the Rings. So now let's take a look at Gollum. Once a hobbit, the seduction of the ring corrupted him and turned him into a pitiful creature. During the Fellowship of the Ring, Howard Shore paints Gollum in a pitiful way. The pity of Gollum, Smeagol's theme, represents his sad state and is also played whenever Bilbo or Frodo begin to demonstrate the similar behaviours as Gollum. And here is a moment of that theme. So although this theme is very subtle in this moment, we actually get to hear it quite early in the film when Bilbo refuses to give up his ring after his birthday party. In this scene, Howard Shore plays the pity of Gollum, but the clarinet takes over the melody in order to relate it to the hobbits, in order to link the similar behaviours between Bilbo and Gollum. Let's have a look.
Mine, I found it. It came to me.
There's no need to get angry.
Well, if I'm angry, it's your fault. It's mine.
And now we hear the pity of Gollum. Da-da-da.
My precious.
Precious.
So Shaw had to decide what deserved a motif, and he really wanted to create themes that pulled at our emotions and heartstrings, and I for one can say he did that very well. So as I grew up, my favourite character evolved, and it's currently sitting on little Samwise, hence my little figurine. He is my favourite character in this point in time. His bravery, his loyalty, his friendship, his ability to carry hope throughout the films is something that I genuinely am like, oh, I wish I had more of in myself, the ability to hold hope in dark times. But something that makes me love Sam as a character even more is the vulnerability he shares. The vulnerability he displays in this upcoming scene is so refreshing to see, because we don't often get to see male characters express their fear. As often I think it can be perceived as weakness, which we should all know. Sharing your vulnerabilities and fears is not a weakness, and it is in fact a strength. It's also the first time we get to hear the Fellowship of the Ring. Because Frodo and Sam have now begun their journey. They have begun the Fellowship. So let's take a look and I'll point out where it begins.
What? If I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been.
Come on, Sam.
Remember what Bilbo used to say? It's a dangerous business, Frodo.
Da-da-da.
Going out the door, you step onto the road, and if you...
And that is the first time we get to hear the Fellowship of the Ring theme, as the Fellowship has now formed. And the really interesting thing to point out is also we don't get to hear the full Fellowship of the Ring theme in its grand orchestration until all 9 of the members of the Fellowship have come together in Rivendell. So it's not until Elrond says, "I declare you now the Fellowship of the Ring," and then we hear this grand heroic orchestration.
You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Right. Where are we going?
Oh, and one more thing which is pretty cool. The second passage of the Fellowship of the Ring theme has 9 notes to represent the 9 members of the Fellowship. So, you know, that's also just a very cool thing to point out. Now, I could go on and on about how amazing this score is. I cannot imagine this film without this score, which I really just hope goes to show how important film scores are to films. They really help in giving the audience clues as to what's happening. When you start realizing the thematic relationships between themes, you can go back and be like, oh. And of course you may not pick that up on a first listen, but like in many moments in great films, you need to rewatch to catch these moments. I would love to do another Lord of the Rings video. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Subscribe if you like this, and until next time, bye.